The knife was 3 inches from Maya Castellano's throat when she moved. Derek Rawlings didn't see it coming. None of them did. 1 second, the 28-year-old woman was cornered in the equipment room, 3 Marines blocking every exit. The next second, Rawlings was on his back, gasping his own tactical knife pressed against his jugular by hands that moved like water and struck like steel. "Wrong woman," Maya whispered. From the shadows near the weight racks, 5 Navy SEALs watched in absolute silence. Commander Rachel Stone allowed herself the smallest smile. Maya Castellano, Bud S. Class 264, Silver Star recipient. One of the deadliest operators the teams had ever produced, was about to teach these boys a lesson they'd never forget. But before we dive into how Maya got here, hit that subscribe button and join us for this incredible journey. Comment below with your city, so we can see how far this story travels. Now let's go back to where it all started 72 hours earlier. Tuesday morning, 0547 hours. San Diego Naval Base Training Facility. Maya Castellano arrived before sunrise, the way she always did. The gym was empty except for the hum of industrial air conditioning and the distant sound of boots on pavement, early morning PT formations starting their runs. She moved through the space like she owned it because in a way she did. Every piece of equipment, every corner, every blind spot, she'd memorized it all during her first week undercover. Jesus, she's here again. Maya didn't turn around. She recognized the voice, Sergeant Derek Rawlings, Marine Corps infantry instructor, and the walking embodiment of everything wrong with military culture. She'd heard him coming from 50 feet away, his deliberate, heavy footsteps announcing his presence like a territorial animal. "Morning, Sergeant," Maya said, keeping her tone neutral, professional. Rawlings moved closer, invading her space. 6'2", 220 pounds of muscle and ego. Behind him, his perpetual entourage, Corporals Jake Vinson and Marcus Chen, filed in like backup singers nobody asked for. "You know what I don't understand?" Rawlings said, circling her slowly. "What exactly does a civilian fitness consultant do that our own PT instructors can't handle?" Maya adjusted the resistance bands she'd been organizing. "I specialize in injury prevention and rehabilitation techniques. Your PT instructors focus on combat readiness. Different skill sets." "Different skill sets," Vinson repeated, laughing. "That's corporate speak for I do yoga and call it military training." Chen joined in. "Bet she's never even touched a real weapon." Maya's jaw tightened imperceptibly. If only they knew. Her hands had assembled and disassembled more weapon systems than these 3 had probably ever seen. M4, MK-18, HK-416, Glock 19, SIG P226. She could field strip any of them blindfolded in under 60 seconds. But that wasn't information Maya Castellano, civilian contractor, was supposed to have. "I'm just here to do my job, gentlemen." "Gentlemen?" Rawlings mocked. "Did you hear that she called us gentlemen?" He stepped even closer, close enough that Maya could smell the protein shake on his breath. "Let me tell you something, Princess. This is a military installation. Real warriors train here. People who've actually seen combat, not sorority girls playing dress-up." The irony was so thick, Maya almost laughed. She'd seen more combat in her 4 years as a SEAL than Rawlings had in his entire 8-year career. 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Yemen. She'd breached terrorist compounds, extracted hostages from hostile territory, and put down enemy combatants who actually knew how to fight, not playground bullies masquerading as Marines. But Maya Castellano, civilian contractor, just smiled politely. "I'll try to stay out of your way, Sergeant." That was the wrong thing to say. Rawlings's face darkened. "Stay out of my way. This is my facility. You don't belong here. You want to know what I think?" He grabbed a resistance band from her hands, tossing it across the room. "I think you're sleeping with someone upstairs. That's the only explanation for why they'd waste money on a contractor when we've got real instructors who actually— Sergeant Rawlings. The new voice cut through the room like a blade. Commander Rachel Stone stood in the doorway, perfectly pressed uniform eyes like frozen steel. Behind her, 4 other figures materialized from the dim hallway. Lieutenant Alex Reeves, Chief Petty Officer Marcus Hayes, Petty Officer First Class Sarah Chen, and Petty Officer Second Class David Torres. SEAL Team 7. Though their uniforms gave no indication of their elite status. Rawlings straightened immediately. Commander Stone, didn't realize you were— Clearly. Stone walked into the room with the kind of quiet authority that made everyone instinctively move aside. Ms. Castellano is here on official Navy contract. Her credentials have been reviewed and approved by the base commander himself. Are you questioning the base commander's judgment, Sergeant? No, ma'am. You just what? Decided to harass a civilian contractor because you don't understand her role. Stone's voice remained level, but the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. I suggest you and your men proceed to your scheduled training rotation. Now. Rawlings' face flushed red. The humiliation of being dressed down in front of his crew and in front of a woman he'd been actively harassing was written all over his expression. But he had no choice. He nodded curtly, gestured to Vincent and Chen, and headed toward the exit. As he passed Maya, he leaned in just enough to whisper, "This isn't over, bitch." Maya didn't react, not externally, but inside a cold calculation started forming. Derek Rawlings had just made a very dangerous enemy, he just didn't know it yet. When they were gone, Stone approached Maya. You okay? I'm fine, Commander. Maya resumed organizing equipment, her movements precise and controlled. Stone studied her for a long moment. You know you could have handled that yourself. I've seen what you can do, Castellano. I need to maintain my cover. Your cover or your temper, Lieutenant Reeves said, stepping forward with a slight grin. Because I was really hoping you'd at least break his nose. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Alex Reeves had gone through Bud S. 2 classes before her. They'd served together in Afghanistan, had each other's backs in firefights that still gave her nightmares. If anyone understood the restraint it took not to put Rawlings on the ground, it was Reeves. Tempting, Maya admitted. But I'm 8 days away from cracking this weapons theft ring. The last thing I need is to blow my cover by hospitalizing a Marine sergeant, no matter how much he deserves it. Chief Hayes grunted. 8 days might be optimistic. Our intel suggests they're planning a major transaction this weekend. 90 M4 rifles, 20 M249 saws, and enough ammunition to start a small war. If they move that shipment before you identify the inside contact. I'll identify them, Maya said firmly. The pattern is clear. Someone with security clearance high enough to access the armory without raising flags. Someone with connections to move military-grade weapons off base without detection. And someone arrogant enough to think they'll never get caught. Any suspects? Stone asked. Maya hesitated. One. But I need confirmation before I make accusations. Who? Security Chief Arnold Rawlings. The name hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Torres whistled low. Derek Rawlings' uncle. Which explains why your harassment complaints have gone nowhere, Stone said grimly. Arnold's been burying them. Exactly. Derek's campaign against me isn't just toxic masculinity, though there's plenty of that. He's trying to run me off base before I uncover his uncle's operation. The harassment, the intimidation, the rumors, it's all designed to make me quit, or make me so radioactive that the base commander revokes my contract. Reeves shook his head. And we're just supposed to let them keep coming at you. For 8 more days, yes. Maya met each of their eyes in turn. I know it goes against every instinct you have as SEALs. It goes against mine too. But if we move too soon, Arnold Rawlings will destroy evidence, warn his buyers, and disappear. Hundreds of stolen U.S. military weapons will end up in the hands of cartels, terrorists, or worse. We need to catch them in the act. Stone nodded slowly. You're asking us to watch you take incoming fire and not return it. I'm asking you to trust that I can handle whatever Derek Rawlings throws at me. Can you? Sarah Chen spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but pointed. Because it's not just verbal harassment anymore, Maya. The way he looked at you just now, that was a threat. A real one. Maya's expression hardened. I've faced enemy combatants in Kandahar who wanted to kill me. I've been pinned down by sniper fire in the Hindu Kush. I've cleared rooms full of terrorists who'd sooner cut my throat than surrender. Derek Rawlings is a coward playing tough guy. If he escalates when he escalates, I'll handle it. You mean you'll drop him? Torres said, grinning. I mean I'll use appropriate defensive force within the parameters of my cover, Maya replied, but the hint of a smile played at the corner of her mouth. If he happens to end up unconscious in the process, well, that's just unfortunate. The SEALs laughed, and the tension broke. These were her people, the only ones on base who knew who she really was, what she'd really done. They'd trust her judgment because they knew she'd earned the trident on her chest the same way they had through blood pain and a refusal to quit when every rational part of her brain screamed to stop. 8 days, Stone said. We'll maintain surveillance protocols. But Maya, the second you need backup, you call it. This mission isn't worth your life. Yes, ma'am. As Stone and the others filed out, Reeves lingered behind. You know he's going to come after you again. Probably tonight when there are fewer witnesses. I'm counting on it. Maya. Alex, I need him to escalate. I need him to cross a line so obvious that even his uncle can't cover for him. Once Derek's compromised, Arnold will panic. Panicked people make mistakes. And when Arnold makes his mistake, I'll be there to catch him. Reeves studied her face, reading the determination there. You've changed, you know, since Yemen. The reference landed like a punch. Yemen. The mission that earned her the Silver Star and cost her 3 months of nightmares. 6 hostages held in a compound controlled by Al-Qaeda affiliates. Intel suggested the hostages would be executed within hours. Maya's team had gone in fast and hard, but not fast enough to prevent the terrorists from opening fire the moment they breached. Maya had taken 2 rounds to her plate carrier and kept moving clearing rooms while bullets splintered wood and shattered concrete around her. By the time the smoke cleared, all 6 hostages were safe. 5 terrorists were dead, and Maya was standing over the body of the compound leader with blood on her hands and ice in her veins. The citation called her heroic. The psych evaluation called her traumatized. Maya called it Tuesday. Yemen taught me that hesitation costs lives, Maya said quietly. I hesitated for half a second entering that compound, thinking maybe we should wait for better positioning. That half second almost got a hostage killed. I won't hesitate again. This isn't a terrorist compound, Maya. It's a military base in San Diego. Danger doesn't stop being danger just because it wears a U.S. uniform, Alex. Derek Rawlings is a threat. His uncle is trafficking weapons that will kill American soldiers. I'm going to stop both of them. I just need them to give me a legal reason to do it. Reeves sighed. You're going to give me a heart attack before I'm 40. You say the sweetest things. Maya grabbed her gym bag, slinging it over her shoulder. Now get out of here before someone sees us talking and blows my cover. He left, but his concern lingered in the room like smoke. Maya stood alone in the gym, surrounded by equipment and silence. She pulled out her phone, checking the encrypted message app she used for NCIS communications. One new message from her handler, Special Agent Linda Morrison. Intel confirms transaction Friday night, 2300 hours, Warehouse District. Arnold Rawlings will be present. We need positive ID and documentation. Don't engage alone. Maya typed back. Copy. We'll have evidence by Friday midnight. Friday. 3 days away. 3 days to maintain her cover, endure whatever Derek Rawlings threw at her, and position herself to catch Arnold in the act. 3 days to solve a case that had already cost the Navy millions in stolen equipment and would cost lives if those weapons reached hostile hands. She could do 3 days standing on her head. The door opened again. Maya tensed hand instinctively moving toward her concealed Glock 43, a weapon that Maya Castellano, civilian contractor, absolutely should not be carrying on base. But it wasn't Rawlings. It was a young Marine, maybe 22, fresh-faced and nervous. Private first class based on his rank insignia. "Ma'am, Miss, can I talk to you for a second?" Maya relaxed. "Sure. What's your name? Marine, Private First Class David Ortiz, ma'am. He glanced around nervously, as if checking for eavesdroppers. "I heard what Sergeant Rawlings said to you earlier. I wanted to apologize. Not all Marines think like that." The sincerity in his voice caught Maya off guard. "I appreciate that, David, but you don't need to apologize for someone else's behavior." "I know, but—" He struggled with the words. "Sergeant Rawlings, he's like that with everyone who doesn't fit his idea of what a Marine should be. He gave me hell during infantry school because I'm not 6 feet tall, and I prefer reading to hitting the bar. He calls me library like it's an insult. And the way he talks about women—" Ortiz shook his head. "It's not right." Maya studied him carefully. "Has he done anything actionable, anything you could report?" Ortiz laughed bitterly. "To who his uncle runs base security. Everyone knows complaints disappear into a black hole. Guys who push back get assigned to the worst duty rotations, or suddenly they're facing disciplinary action for things they didn't do. Rawlings has protection, and he knows it. What if I told you that protection won't last much longer?" Ortiz's eyes widened. "You're not just a fitness consultant, are you?" Maya smiled enigmatically. "I'm exactly what my contract says I am. But David, can I give you some advice? Document everything. Every inappropriate comment, every abuse of authority, every moment where Rawlings crosses a line. Write it down with dates, times, witnesses. Keep copies somewhere he can't access. Because one day, maybe soon, someone is going to hold him accountable. And when that day comes, your documentation will matter." Understanding dawned on Ortiz's face. "You're investigating him." "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." He straightened up, looking more confident. "I'll document everything. And ma'am, if you need a witness for anything he does, I'll testify. Even if it costs me my career. Some things matter more than careers." Maya felt a surge of respect for this young Marine. "You're going to make a fine NCO someday, David. Don't let people like Rawlings convince you otherwise." After Ortiz left, Maya finally headed out herself. The sun had fully risen now, painting the base in gold and shadow. Morning formations were in full swing, hundreds of service members starting another day of training preparation service. Most of them good people doing important work. But like any institution, there were bad apples. People who abused their authority, exploited the system, corrupted the values they'd sworn to uphold. Arnold Rawlings was selling the weapons these service members trusted to protect them. Derek Rawlings was creating a culture of fear and harassment that drove good people out of the military. And Maya Castellano, Navy SEAL counterintelligence operator, and a woman who'd once held off 30 enemy combatants with nothing but a damaged rifle and pure determination, was going to end both of them. She just had to survive the next 3 days first. As Maya walked toward her off-base apartment, her phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. "Enjoy your little chat with the commander this morning won't save you. You're done here." Maya deleted the message without responding. Let Derek think he was getting to her. Let him think she was scared. By Friday night, he'd learned the truth. You can't intimidate someone who's already been through hell and came out the other side smiling. The wrong woman. They'd picked the wrong woman, and they were about to pay for that mistake. Wednesday morning started with a flat tire. Maya crouched beside her Honda Civic in the parking lot of her apartment complex, examining the slash marks across the rubber. Not wear and tear, not road debris. Someone had taken a knife to it, clean, deliberate cuts designed to make it look like an accident to anyone not paying attention. But Maya was always paying attention. Need help? She looked up. Derek Rawlings leaned against a black Ford F-150, 3 spaces over, arms crossed, that smug smile plastered across his face. He'd been waiting for her. "I'm good," Maya said, pulling out her phone. "You sure? Because it looks like you've got a problem there. Dangerous neighborhood. Things happen." Maya met his eyes. Things like someone slashing tires. Rawlings pushed off his truck, walking closer. "I wouldn't know anything about that. But maybe it's a sign universe telling you this isn't a safe place for you." "The universe talks to you often, Sergeant." "I'm just saying accidents happen to people who don't belong. You should consider going back to wherever you came from, before something worse than a flat tire happens." Maya stood slowly, maintaining eye contact. Every instinct screamed at her to put him on the ground right there, make him understand exactly who he was threatening. But that wasn't the play. Not yet. "I'll take my chances." Rawlings' smile faded. "Suit yourself. But don't say I didn't warn you." He climbed into his truck and drove off, leaving Maya alone with her slashed tire and a growing certainty that the next 3 days were going to be worse than she'd anticipated. She called an Uber to base. The driver was a retired Navy chief who spent the entire ride talking about how the military wasn't what it used to be, how standards had dropped, how back in his day recruits actually earned their place instead of getting it handed to them. Maya nodded politely and let him talk her mind elsewhere. Derek was escalating faster than she'd predicted. The threatening text last night, now vandalism. He wasn't just trying to intimidate her anymore, he was trying to force her off base entirely, which meant Arnold Rawlings was more nervous than her intel suggested. They knew she was closing in. Good. Nervous people made mistakes. When Maya arrived at the gym, she found her workstation vandalized. Equipment she'd organized yesterday was scattered across the floor. Her laptop, locked in her desk drawer, had been pried open and smashed. Files containing her client training plans were torn and thrown around like confetti. Private Ortiz stood near the mess, looking genuinely distressed. "Ma'am, I came in early for PT and found it like this. I reported it to security, but..." "Let me guess. They said they'd look into it." Ortiz nodded miserably. "Security Chief Rawlings took the report himself. Said it was probably just kids breaking in, even though the base is locked down, and you need clearance to access this building." Maya surveyed the damage with clinical detachment. The laptop didn't matter. It contained nothing but fake training schedules and generic fitness information. Her real files were encrypted on a secure server only NCIS could access. But the message was clear. "We can get to your things. We can get to you." "It's okay, David. Thank you for reporting it." "It's not okay," Ortiz said, anger breaking through his usual deference. "Everyone knows who did this. Everyone knows why. And nobody's going to do anything about it because the system protects him," Maya finished. "I know. But David, remember what I told you yesterday. Document everything. Take pictures of this mess. Note the time you found it, who you reported it to, what they said. Details matter." Ortiz pulled out his phone and started photographing. Smart kid. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from Commander Stone. "Saw the security report. Say the word and this ends." Maya typed back. "I've got this. 2 more days." You're either the bravest person I know or the craziest. Can't it be both? The morning crawled by. Maya conducted her scheduled training sessions with junior enlisted personnel teaching proper lifting techniques and injury prevention. Most of them were respectful, even grateful, but word had spread about the vandalism about Rawlings's harassment campaign. Some looked at her with pity. Others avoided her entirely, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. Around 1100 hours, Corporal Jake Vinson showed up with 3 buddies, all wearing matching shit-eating grins. "Hey, yoga girl," Vinson called out. "Heard someone trashed your stuff. That's rough." Maya continued guiding a young sailor through a proper deadlift form. "Life happens, Corporal." "Yeah, life happens. Especially to people who don't know when to quit." He stepped closer, deliberately blocking her line of sight to her trainee. "You should really consider taking a leave of absence. For your own safety." The sailor, a 19-year-old kid from Oklahoma named Mitchell, looked nervous. Maya put a hand on his shoulder. "Mitchell, take 5. Go hydrate." After Mitchell hurried away, Maya turned her full attention to Vinson. "Was there something you actually needed, Corporal? Or are you just here to waste my time?" One of Vinson's buddies, a lance corporal with prison tattoos barely hidden by his sleeves, laughed. "She's got a mouth on her, Jake. Maybe we should teach her some respect." "Maybe you should focus on your training rotation," Maya said coldly. "Unless harassing civilian contractors is now part of Marine Corps doctrine." Prison tattoos stepped forward, invading her space. "You think you're clever. You think running to Commander Stone is going to save you." Maya didn't back up, didn't flinch. "I think 4 Marines ganging up on one woman half their size says more about you than it does about me." "Half our size?" Vinson laughed. "Baby, you're not even Corporal Vinson." Everyone turned. Master Sergeant Patricia Williams stood in the doorway, her expression promising violence. Williams was a 22-year Marine Corps veteran built like a tank with a reputation for ending careers when people crossed her. "These men bothering you, Ms. Castellano?" "Just having a conversation, Master Sergeant," Maya said diplomatically. Williams's eyes narrowed. "Is that so? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like 4 Marines harassing a civilian contractor. And I'd hate to have to report that to the base commander. You know how seriously he takes harassment complaints." Vinson's face flushed. "We were just leaving," Williams finished. "Immediately, before I decide you need a refresher course in professional conduct." They left, but Prison Tattoos made sure to shoulder-check Maya on his way out hard enough to hurt, not hard enough to constitute assault. Maya absorbed the hit without reacting. When they were gone, Williams approached. "You okay?" "I'm fine. Thank you, Master Sergeant." Williams studied her with sharp eyes. "I've been in the Corps since before most of these boys were born. I know when someone's being targeted, and I know when someone's too damn stubborn to ask for help." "I can handle it." "I'm sure you can, but you shouldn't have to." Williams crossed her arms. "I've heard the rumors about you. Some people say you're sleeping your way through officer country. Others say you're actually some kind of government investigator. I don't care which is true. What I care about is that Rawlings and his crew think they can bully people on my base." "Your base?" Williams smiled grimly. "I've been here 16 years. I've outlasted 3 base commanders and more junior officers than I can count. In every way that matters, this is my base, and I don't tolerate bullies." Maya felt a surge of respect. "I appreciate that, Master Sergeant, but I need you to trust that I can handle this situation." "For how much longer?" 2 more days." Williams studied her for a long moment. 2 days. Then I'm escalating this whether you like it or not." Clear, clear. After Williams left, Maya allowed herself 30 seconds to just breathe. The walls were closing in faster than she'd anticipated. Derek's campaign had gone from verbal harassment to vandalism to physical intimidation in less than 48 hours. At this rate, he'd escalate to actual violence before Friday, which was exactly what Maya needed. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was Special Agent Morrison. Update: Maya found a corner where security cameras couldn't see her screen and typed, "Target is escalating. Vandalized personal property enlisted accomplices for intimidation. Predicting physical confrontation within 24 hours. Are you safe? Always. Maya, if this goes south..." It won't. Arnold Rawlings is panicking. The faster Derek escalates, the faster his uncle makes mistakes. I'm tracking 3 suspicious armory access logs from last night. Someone's moving product ahead of schedule. The Friday transaction might be happening sooner, possibly tomorrow night. I need confirmation. How will you get it? Maya smiled at her phone. I'm going to make Arnold so nervous he tips his hand. I don't like the sound of that. You never do. Trust me. She pocketed her phone and headed toward the security office. Time to rattle some cages. Arnold Rawlings sat behind a desk that was too large for the cramped office, surrounded by monitors showing security camera feeds from across the base. He was 53, balding, with the kind of gut that suggested too many years behind a desk and not enough in the gym. But his eyes were sharp, calculating. He looked up when Maya entered. "Ms. Castellano, to what do I owe the pleasure?" "I'd like to file a formal complaint." Arnold leaned back in his chair, the picture of false concern. "About the vandalism, I assure you we're investigating thoroughly. Not just the vandalism, about your nephew's ongoing harassment campaign against me." The temperature in the room dropped. Arnold's expression didn't change, but something predatory moved behind his eyes. "That's a serious accusation. Do you have evidence? Threatening texts. Witness testimony. The fact that I've filed 3 harassment complaints in the past week and none have been processed." "Complaints take time to investigate properly, Ms. Castellano. We can't just rush to judgment based on unsubstantiated claims." Unsubstantiated. Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling through screenshots. "Here's a text from an unknown number threatening me. Here's testimony from Private Ortiz about intimidation tactics. Here's documentation from Master Sergeant Williams about today's confrontation. How much evidence do you need?" Arnold's jaw tightened. "Derek is a Marine Corps sergeant with an exemplary record. You're a civilian contractor who's been here less than a month. Who do you think the base commander will believe?" There it was. The arrogance, the certainty that his position made him untouchable. Maya leaned forward. "I think the base commander will believe documented evidence. And I think he'll be very interested to know that harassment complaints against your nephew keep disappearing from the system." "Are you accusing me of misconduct?" "I'm observing that there's a pattern. Complaints filed, complaints vanished. Your nephew faces no consequences while his behavior escalates. Either you're incompetent at your job or you're deliberately protecting him. Which is it, Chief?" Arnold stood slowly, using his height to intimidate. "You need to be very careful, Miss Castellano. Very careful about making accusations you can't prove." Maya didn't back down. "Is that a threat? It's advice? You're in over your head here. Whatever you think you're doing, whatever you think you're investigating, you need to stop. For your own good." There. Confirmation. Arnold knew she was more than just a fitness consultant. He didn't know exactly what, but he knew enough to be worried. Maya held his gaze. "I'm just trying to do my job, Chief. Same as you. Unless there's a reason you don't want me here." The question hung between them like a live wire. Arnold sat back down, his expression hardening into something cold. "Your contract is under review. I'm recommending to the base commander that it not be renewed. Nothing personal, just a matter of maintaining good order and discipline on this installation." "Because I filed harassment complaints." "Because your presence here is disruptive. Multiple personnel have expressed concerns. It's creating an environment incompatible with military readiness." Maya wanted to laugh. Multiple personnel, meaning Derek and his crew. The same people harassing her were now claiming she was the problem. I see. When will this recommendation go through? Could be today, could be tomorrow. I'd suggest you start packing your things. Maya nodded slowly. I'll do that. Thank you for your time, Chief. She left before Arnold could see the smile on her face. He'd just made a critical mistake. By threatening to revoke her contract, he'd established a timeline. Whatever Arnold was planning, the weapons shipment, the transaction, it was happening soon. So soon that he couldn't risk her being around to witness it. Tomorrow night. It had to be tomorrow night. Maya walked outside, pulled out her phone, and called Morrison on an encrypted line. He took the bait, Maya said. Arnold's panicking. He just threatened to revoke my contract. That's assault on a federal investigation. Add it to the list. But more importantly, he confirmed they're moving the timeline up. The transaction is happening tomorrow night, not Friday. I need surveillance authorization for warehouse district locations. You'll have it within the hour. Maya, are you absolutely sure about this? Arnold just showed his hand. He's not careful anymore, he's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes, and I'm going to be there when he makes his. What about Derek? Maya's smile turned cold. Derek's going to give me exactly what I need, a legitimate reason to defend myself. And when I do, his uncle is going to spiral completely. You're using yourself as bait. I'm using their arrogance against them. There's a difference. Morrison sighed. 2 days, Maya. Don't make me regret trusting you. You won't. That night, Maya stayed late at the gym waiting. She'd sent Derek an untraceable text earlier. Your uncle can't protect you forever. Some of us don't scare easy. It was gasoline on a fire, and Maya knew it. But she needed Derek to escalate past the point of no return. She needed him to cross a line so obvious that even Arnold couldn't sweep it under the rug. Around 2100 hours, the gym lights flickered off. Maya stood in the darkness, listening. 3 sets of footsteps approached from different directions. Heavy boots on tile. Deliberate, coordinated movement. They weren't trying to hide anymore. The emergency lights kicked on, bathing everything in dim red. Derek Rawlings stepped out of the shadows near the weight room, flanked by Vincent and Marcus Chen. Prison tattoos emerged from the opposite direction, blocking the rear exit. 4 against 1 in a darkened gym with security cameras mysteriously offline. Derek smiled. You just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Maya's pulse stayed steady. She'd been in worse situations. Taliban fighters in a Kandahar compound, hostile interrogators in Yemen. This was just 4 bullies who'd never faced real consequences for their actions. That was about to change. Last chance, Derek said, moving closer. Walk away tonight. Quit your contract. Disappear. Or we make you disappear. Maya's hands hung loose at her sides, relaxed, but ready. You're threatening a federal contractor on a U.S. military installation. That's a felony. Vincent laughed. Who's going to tell cameras are off? Doors are locked. And honestly, after all your complaints, people will just think you finally couldn't handle it and ran away. 4 Marines assaulting a woman, Maya said quietly. That's who you want to be. 4 Marines teaching an uppity bitch a lesson. Prison tattoos corrected. Big difference? Derek pulled something from his belt. A tactical knife, black blade, serrated edge. We're not going to kill you, just going to rough you up enough that you need a hospital. Maybe a few scars to remember us by. Make sure you understand this isn't your world. Maya's eyes tracked the knife, calculating distances, angles, response times. Chen had moved to her right, Vincent to her left. Derek in front with the knife. Prison tattoos blocking the rear. They'd done this before, coordinated pack tactics, isolation strategy, escalating threat. They thought they were hunters. They had no idea they'd cornered a predator. You have 3 seconds to stand down, Maya said, her voice changing. No longer the polite civilian contractor. This was the voice that had given orders in firefights, the voice that enemy combatants heard right before they died. 3, 2, Derek lunged. And Maya Castellano, Bud, Class 264, Silver Star recipient, one of the most lethal close-quarters combat specialists the Navy SEALs had ever produced, moved. The knife was 3 inches from her throat when she deflected Derek's arm, trapped his wrist, and used his own momentum to send him crashing into the weight rack. The knife clattered across the floor. Vincent rushed from her left. Maya dropped, swept his legs, and delivered a palm strike to his solar plexus that left him gasping on the ground. Chen came from the right with a wild haymaker. Maya ducked under it, trapped his extended arm, and executed a picture-perfect judo throw that put him flat on his back, the air exploding from his lungs. Prison Tattoos pulled a collapsible baton from his belt and charged. Maya sidestepped, caught the baton mid-swing, and used a joint lock that made him scream as she twisted it from his grip. A sharp strike to the back of his knee sent him down. 8 seconds. 4 men on the ground. Maya stood in the center of the gym, barely breathing hard, while 4 Marines groaned in pain around her. From the shadows near the entrance, slow applause echoed through the space. Commander Rachel Stone stepped into the emergency lighting, followed by Lieutenant Reeves and the rest of SEAL Team 7. "Beautiful work, Castellano," Stone said. "Textbook defensive tactics. Multiple witnesses to corroborate that you only used necessary force after being threatened with a deadly weapon." Derek struggled to his feet, his face a mask of rage and humiliation. "You set us up!" "No," Maya said coldly. "You walked into your own trap. I just gave you enough rope to hang yourselves." Reeves pulled out his phone, showing the screen to Derek. "Security cameras weren't actually offline. We just made you think they were. Every word, every threat, every move you made, all recorded. You threatened a federal contractor with a knife sergeant. That's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Your crew there helped conspiracy charges. And the best part, your uncle can't bury this. Too many witnesses." Derek's face went pale. "My uncle is about to have much bigger problems," Stone said. "MPs are waiting outside. You and your boys are under arrest." As military police flooded into the gym, handcuffing Derek and his crew, Maya finally allowed herself to breathe. Her hands were steady, her heart rate normal. 8 years of training, 4 years of combat experience, it all came down to 8 seconds of controlled violence. But it wasn't over yet. Arnold Rawlings would know about Derek's arrest within minutes. And when he did, he'd make his move. Tomorrow night, Maya would be ready. The military police van carrying Derek Rawlings and his crew had barely cleared the base gates when Maya's phone exploded with incoming calls. She ignored them all, except one Special Agent Morrison. "Arnold knows," Morrison said without preamble. "We've been monitoring his communications. He made 4 calls in the last 10 minutes. 2 to lawyers, 1 to someone at the State Department, and 1 to a burner phone we can't trace." Maya's stomach tightened. "The untraceable one that's his buyer. He's moving the shipment tonight, not tomorrow." "That's our assessment. We've got surveillance teams mobilizing, but Maya, if he's already spooked, he'll destroy evidence before we can move in." "Where's the most likely location?" "Warehouse 7 in the Port District. It's registered to a shell company we've linked to Arnold's operation, but it's also a trap if he knows we're coming." Maya was already moving toward her car. "He doesn't know about me. He thinks I'm just a civilian contractor his nephew tried to assault. Nobody's connected me to NCIS yet." "Maya, you can't go in alone." "I won't be alone. Stone and her team are already mobilizing. Send me the warehouse coordinates." "This is against protocol." "Everything about this operation has been against protocol, Linda. Send me the damn coordinates." The line went silent for 3 seconds. Then Maya's phone pinged with a location pin. "Backup will be there in 20 minutes, Morrison said. Do not engage before then. 20 minutes might be too late. Maya. But Maya had already hung up. She found Commander Stone in the parking lot checking weapons with her team. Reeves looked up as Maya approached. Warehouse 7 Port District, Maya said. Arnold's moving tonight. Stone didn't waste time with questions. We're wheels up in 2 minutes. Torres, grab the tactical gear. Hayes, coordinate with NCIS surveillance. Chen, you're driving. Maya, you're with me and Reeves. They moved with the efficiency of operators who'd trained together for years. No wasted motion, no unnecessary communication. Within 90 seconds, they were loaded into 2 unmarked vehicles, heading toward the port. Stone handed Maya a tactical vest and a Sig Sauer P226. Your Glock's fine for concealed carry, but if this goes hot, you'll want more stopping power. Maya checked the weapon automatically chamber magazine safety, muscle memory from 1,000 training drills. Rules of engagement. Capture if possible, neutralize if necessary. Priority is securing the weapon's shipment before it leaves U.S. soil. Secondary priority is taking Arnold alive for prosecution. And if he resists, Stone's expression was granite. Then he chose his fate. The drive took 14 minutes. Every traffic light felt like an eternity. Maya's mind ran through tactical scenarios, building layouts, entry points, sight lines, escape routes. She'd pulled the warehouse blueprints during her investigation. Single-story structure, 10,000 square feet, 3 loading docks, 1 main entrance, limited windows, multiple blind spots, lots of places for an ambush. You're thinking too loud, Reeves said from beside her. I can hear your brain working. I'm thinking Arnold has had 30 minutes to prepare. That's enough time to destroy documents, move product, or set up a kill zone. It's also enough time to make mistakes. Panic makes people sloppy. Arnold doesn't strike me as someone who panics. Everyone panics when their world falls apart, Stone said. The question is whether he panics forward or backward. Forward means he runs. Backward means he fights. Maya checked her weapon again. Either way, we end this tonight. They parked 3 blocks from the warehouse, approaching on foot to avoid alerting anyone watching the street. The port was mostly deserted at this hour. A few cargo ships in dock, scattered dock workers finishing late shifts, the occasional truck making deliveries. Perfect cover for moving illegal weapons. SEAL Team 7 moved through the shadows like ghosts. Maya fell into formation naturally, her body remembering the rhythm of tactical movement, even after months behind a desk. They reached the warehouse perimeter, and Stone signaled for them to hold position. Through her night vision scope, Maya could see 2 guards stationed outside the main entrance, both armed with AR-15s, both scanning the street with the kind of lazy confidence that came from thinking nobody knew they were there. 2 exterior guards, probably more inside, Stone whispered into her comms. Chen, Torres, take the south entrance. Hayes, you're with me on Overwatch. Reeves, Maya, your entry team. We go on my mark. Maya's pulse was steady. This was what she'd trained for, what she'd done 100 times in hostile territory. Except this time, the hostile territory was an American warehouse, and the enemy combatants were American criminals. Wait, Reeves said suddenly. Movement in the northeast corner. 3 vehicles approaching fast. Maya swung her scope around. 3 black SUVs with tinted windows moving in formation. Not NCIS, their backup was still 10 minutes out. Not local police, they hadn't been cleared for this operation. Those are Arnold's buyers, Maya said, recognition hitting her. He's making the exchange right now. Stone's voice was cold. All units prepare for dynamic entry. This goes hot in 30 seconds. But before they could move, gunfire erupted inside the warehouse. Not the controlled bursts of professionals. Wild, panicked shooting. Screaming. Chaos. What the hell? Hayes muttered. Through the warehouse windows, Maya could see muzzle flashes. Multiple shooters firing at each other. The buyers had turned on Arnold, or Arnold had turned on the buyers, or someone else had crashed the party entirely. "Change of plans," Stone said. "We go now before everyone kills each other or the weapons disappear. Reeves Maya through the main entrance. Everyone else secondary entrances. Minimal force unless fired upon. Move." Maya and Reeves hit the main entrance in perfect sync. The two guards had abandoned their posts drawn inside by the gunfire. Maya swept left, Reeves swept right. Clear. The warehouse interior was chaos. Crates of weapons, M4 rifles, M249 saws, ammunition boxes stacked near the loading docks. 5 men in tactical gear exchanging fire with 3 others behind shipping containers. Bodies on the ground. Blood pooling on concrete. And in the center of it all, Arnold Rawlings crouched behind a forklift, a pistol in his shaking hand, looking like a man who'd lost control of his own operation. "Federal agents," Stone's voice boomed through the warehouse. "Drop your weapons now." The response was immediate and predictable. Everyone started shooting in every direction. Maya moved on instinct. She put down one shooter with 2 center mass shots, advanced to cover, engaged a second target who'd turned toward Reeves. The muscle memory of combat took over breathe, aim, fire, move. No thought, just action. Reeves neutralized 2 more hostiles, while Torres and Chen cleared the loading dock area. Hayes provided covering fire from the elevated catwalk, his precision rifle barking in controlled bursts. In 90 seconds, the firefight was over. 4 hostiles down, 3 wounded, 2 surrendering. But Arnold was gone. "Back exit," Maya said, spotting the open door behind the forklift. "He ran." "Go," Stone ordered. "Reeves with her. We'll secure the scene and call for medical." Maya sprinted toward the back exit with Reeves right behind her. They emerged into a narrow alley between warehouses. Arnold was 50 feet ahead, running toward the waterfront with the desperate speed of a man who knew his life was over if he got caught. "Arnold Rawlings, NCIS! Stop!" Maya shouted. He didn't stop. He turned and fired 3 wild shots that sparked off concrete near Maya's head. She dove for cover behind a dumpster, returning fire with disciplined double taps that forced Arnold to keep running. "He's heading for the boats," Reeves said. "If he reaches the water, he won't." Maya broke from cover, closing the distance in a dead sprint. Arnold reached the dock and jumped into a small speedboat tied to a piling. He fumbled with the ignition, his hands shaking so badly he dropped the keys. Maya hit the dock at full speed and launched herself into the boat just as Arnold recovered the keys. They collided in a tangle of limbs, the boat rocking violently. Arnold's gun went skittering across the deck. "It's over!" Maya shouted, trying to pin him. "You're under arrest!" But Arnold fought with the desperate strength of a cornered animal. He was bigger, heavier, and fighting for his freedom. He landed a punch that split Maya's lip, another that cracked her ribs. She tasted blood and adrenaline. Then Arnold's hand found his gun. Maya saw it happening in slow motion. Arnold raising the pistol, his finger tightening on the trigger, the barrel swinging toward her face. She moved. Her hand caught his wrist, redirected the barrel. The gun fired the bullet, passing so close to her ear that she felt the heat. With her free hand, she struck his elbow, hyperextending the joint. Arnold screamed and dropped the gun. Maya followed up with a knee to his solar plexus, a palm strike to his jaw, and a wrist lock that put him face down on the deck. She had her own pistol pressed to the back of his head before he could draw another breath. "You're done, Arnold. It's over." Beneath her, Arnold Rawlings started crying. Not the quiet tears of remorse, the ugly, choking sobs of a man watching his entire world collapse. Reeves boarded the boat, weapon drawn, providing cover, while Maya zip-tied Arnold's wrists. "You good?" "I'm good." Maya's hands were shaking now, post-combat adrenaline finally hitting her system. "Get NCIS down here. I want this bastard processed before his lawyers show up." 20 minutes later, the warehouse was a crime scene crawling with federal agents. NCIS had taken custody of Arnold Rawlings and 3 surviving members of the trafficking ring. The weapons cache was being documented and secured. 4 dead bodies were being loaded into medical examiner vans. Maya sat on the bumper of an ambulance while a medic cleaned the cut on her lip and checked her ribs. Nothing broken, just bruised. She'd had worse in training. Special Agent Morrison approached, looking simultaneously relieved and furious. "That was the most reckless, irresponsible, dangerous thing I've ever witnessed an agent do." "I'm not an agent," Maya pointed out. "I'm a Navy SEAL on temporary assignment." "Semantics. You could have been killed." "But I wasn't. And now we've got Arnold Rawlings, his entire operation, enough weapons to arm a small militia, and evidence linking this to 3 other bases. This is bigger than we thought, Linda." Morrison sighed. "I know. We found documents in Arnold's office, shipping manifests, payment records, buyer contacts. This trafficking ring spans the entire West Coast. Arnold was just one node in a massive network. How massive? 12 installations, over 500 stolen weapons in the last 2 years, estimated street value of $6 million. Buyers include cartel enforcers, domestic extremists, and at least 2 foreign intelligence services." Maya felt sick. $6 million in weapons stolen from U.S. military bases, and nobody noticed. Somebody noticed. They just got paid to look the other way. Morrison pulled out her phone, showing Maya a photograph. "Recognize him." Maya's blood went cold. The photo showed Arnold Rawlings shaking hands with a Navy captain, Captain Richard Forrester, the deputy commander of Naval Base San Diego. The man who'd approved Maya's contractor credentials. The man who had security clearance for every installation on the West Coast. Forrester's involved. We don't know yet. But that photo was taken 3 weeks before the thefts started accelerating. Could be innocent. Could be conspiracy. We're bringing him in for questioning tomorrow. Maya's mind raced. If Forrester was dirty, he had access to operational security protocols, personnel files, investigation reports. He would have known about Maya's undercover assignment from day 1. "Linda, if Forrester knew about me, then you were being watched this entire time. Which means Arnold didn't panic because Derek got arrested. He panicked because someone warned him that his entire operation was about to be exposed." A chill ran down Maya's spine. Derek's arrest was the trigger, but Forrester was the source. He told Arnold I wasn't just a fitness consultant. That's why Arnold moved the timeline up. And if Forrester is involved, there could be others. This goes deeper than one corrupt security chief and his nephew. Before Maya could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost declined, then thought better of it, and answered. Maya Castellano. Heavy breathing. Then a voice she didn't recognize, electronically distorted. "You've made a very dangerous enemy, Ms. Castellano. Arnold Rawlings was just the beginning. There are people much more powerful than him who won't tolerate what you've done tonight." "Who is this?" "Someone who's giving you one chance to walk away. Resign your commission. Disappear. Forget everything you've learned. Or the next threat won't be a phone call. It'll be a bullet." The line went dead. Maya stared at her phone, her hands steady, but her mind racing. Morrison had heard the whole thing through the speaker. "That was a professional," Morrison said quietly. "Not some low-level thug. Someone with resources and training." "Someone in the military," Maya added. "Someone's son who knows military terminology and operational security. Someone like Captain Forrester, or someone higher. Linda, we need to expand this investigation, now, before whoever's behind this has time to cover their tracks." Morrison nodded. "I'll brief my director tonight. But Maya, you need protection. If there's a conspiracy this deep..." I don't need protection, I need answers. Maya stood up, wincing as her bruised ribs protested. And I'm going to get them. Commander Stone approached, overhearing the last part. Get answers from where we just shut down Arnold's entire operation. We shut down one operation, Maya corrected. But there are others, and whoever's running them just threatened me, which means we're getting close to something big. Or you're about to get yourself killed, Reeves said, joining them. Maya, for once in your life, can you not charge head first into danger? That's literally my job, Alex. Your job was to investigate weapons theft. You've done that. Mission accomplished. Let NCIS handle the rest. But Maya was already shaking her head. Arnold cried when I arrested him. Real ugly crying. You know what that tells me? He was terrified. Not of prison, he's probably looking at 15 to 20 years, and he took it like a death sentence. No, he was terrified of what happens when whoever's really running this operation finds out he got caught. Stone's expression darkened. You think there's someone above Arnold? Someone who'll retaliate? I think Arnold was middle management, and I think middle management is expendable to people at the top. As if to punctuate her point, an explosion rocked the warehouse. Everyone dove for cover as flames erupted from the evidence processing area. Black smoke billowed into the night sky. Secondary explosions followed as ammunition cooked off in the heat. Fall back, Stone ordered. Everyone out now. They retreated to a safe distance while firefighters moved in to contain the blaze. Maya watched documents and evidence burning, months of investigation going up in smoke. Incendiary device, Hayes reported, checking his equipment. Remotely detonated. Someone was watching, waiting for the right moment to destroy evidence. How much did we lose? Morrison asked, her face pale. Everything in the processing area. Manifests, payment records, buyer contacts. Gone. Maya's hands clenched into fists. They're cleaning house. Eliminating evidence, tying up loose ends. Which makes Arnold a loose end, Reeves said. Maya, where did they take him? Maya's eyes widened. The holding facility at the base. He's supposed to be transferred to federal custody in the morning, but if someone wanted him dead, she was already running toward the NCIS vehicles. Stone and Reeves were right behind her. Morrison, get on the phone, Stone shouted. Tell base security to put Arnold in protective custody now. Morrison was already dialing, but Maya could see the fear in her eyes. They were 10 minutes away from the base. If someone wanted Arnold dead, 10 minutes was an eternity. The drive back to Naval Base San Diego was the longest 10 minutes of Maya's life. Morrison stayed on the phone with base security, getting increasingly frantic updates. He's still in holding, Morrison relayed. 2 guards on station. They're moving him to a secure cell now. Tell them to trust nobody, Maya said. If this conspiracy goes as high as we think, anyone could be compromised. They were 3 minutes from the base when Morrison's face went white. Shots fired at the holding facility, she whispered. Multiple casualties. Arnold Rawlings is down. Maya slammed her fist against the dashboard. No, 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 no. They reached the base in time to see ambulances screaming toward the holding facility. Maya jumped out of the vehicle before it fully stopped and ran toward the building. MPs tried to stop her, but she flashed her NCIS credentials and pushed past. The holding facility was a crime scene. 2 guards dead, both shot execution style. The secure cell door stood open, lock blown out with a small explosive charge. And inside, Arnold Rawlings lay in a pool of blood, 2 bullets in his chest, 1 in his head. Professional. Efficient. No witnesses. Maya stood over Arnold's body, feeling rage and frustration war inside her. He'd been a corrupt bastard who deserved prison, but he'd also been the key to unraveling a conspiracy that went deeper than any of them had imagined. Now he was dead, and with him died any chance of getting testimony about who was really running the weapons trafficking operation. Base Commander Admiral James Morrison. No relation to the NCIS agent arrived minutes later, his face a mask of controlled fury. "Someone just executed a federal prisoner on my base," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "Someone with access to secure facilities, knowledge of guard rotations, and the skills to kill 2 armed MPs without raising an alarm. Commander Stone, I'm placing this entire base on lockdown. Nobody comes in or out until we find who did this." "With respect, Admiral," Maya said, "the killer is probably already gone. This was planned before we even arrested Arnold. They had a contingency in place. Then we find out who they are." When Admiral Morrison turned to her, and Maya saw something shift in his expression. Recognition. "You're the fitness consultant, the one Derek Rawlings assaulted." "I'm the Navy SEAL who's been investigating weapons theft for the past month, sir, and I'm the one who just watched my entire investigation go up in smoke, literally and figuratively." The Admiral studied her for a long moment. "Captain Forrester approved your assignment." "Yes, sir. Captain Forrester also has a meeting scheduled with NCIS tomorrow morning. Now I'm wondering if that meeting will happen, or if he'll suffer an unfortunate accident before then." Maya's stomach dropped. "Sir, we need to secure Captain Forrester immediately." "Already done. He's in protective custody in my office as we speak, under guard by Marines I personally trust. Whatever's happening here, we're going to get to the bottom of it." But as Maya looked at Arnold Rawlings' corpse, at the 2 dead MPs, at the smoking ruins of the evidence warehouse, she knew this was far from over. Someone powerful was cleaning house. And Maya Castellano had just become their next target. Captain Richard Forrester sat in Admiral Morrison's office, looking like a man who'd aged 10 years in the past hour. His uniform was immaculate, his posture rigid, but his hands trembled as he gripped the armrests of his chair. "I didn't know," he said for the 3rd time. "I swear to God, I didn't know Arnold was running weapons." Maya stood against the wall, arms crossed, studying him with the cold assessment of someone trained to spot lies. Commander Stone occupied the other side of the room, equally silent, equally watchful. Admiral Morrison sat behind his desk, fingers steepled, radiating controlled fury. "You didn't know your deputy security chief was stealing millions of dollars in weapons from installations under your command." Morrison's voice could have frozen water. "You didn't notice the pattern, the inventory discrepancies, the suspicious access logs." "I trusted Arnold. He'd been with the Navy for 26 years, decorated service, impeccable record." Forrester's voice cracked. "He was my friend." "Your friend just got executed in our holding facility," Maya said flatly, "along with 2 MPs who were just doing their jobs. So either you're monumentally incompetent or you're complicit. Which is it, Captain?" Forrester's head snapped toward her. "I'm not complicit. I would never—" "Then explain this." Stone crossed the room and dropped a photograph on the desk. The same one Morrison had shown Maya earlier, Forrester and Arnold shaking hands. "This was taken 3 weeks before the weapons thefts accelerated. What were you discussing?" "That was at a retirement party for Master Chief Williams. We were talking about golf." "Golf," Maya repeated. "Not operational security, not personnel assignments, not the new civilian contractor you'd just approved to work in your facilities." Forrester's eyes widened. "You're the contractor, the fitness consultant." "Navy SEAL Lieutenant Maya Castellano, counterintelligence specialist currently assigned to NCIS. And you approved my cover identity, Captain. Which means either you knew exactly who I was and what I was investigating, or someone who did have access to that information used your credentials to approve my assignment." The color drained from Forrester's face. "Someone used my credentials. Someone with access to your office, your computer, and your security clearances," Morrison said grimly. "Someone close enough to you that they could act with your authority without raising suspicion." "That's impossible. My office is secure. Only my aide and my assistant have access when I'm not there." Maya and Stone exchanged a look. "Who's your aide?" Maya asked. "Lieutenant Commander James Patel. He's been with me for 18 months. Former intelligence officer, exemplary record security clearance higher than—" Forrester stopped mid-sentence, realization dawning. "Oh, God." "Where is Lieutenant Commander Patel right now?" Stone demanded. Forrester fumbled for his phone. He was supposed to be coordinating base security during the lockdown. "I'll call him." "Don't." Maya snatched the phone from his hand. "If Patel is compromised, calling him tips him off that we're on to him. Admiral, we need to locate Patel immediately, but quietly." Morrison was already on his secure line. "Security operations, this is Admiral Morrison. I need the current location of Lieutenant Commander James Patel. Do not alert him. Do not approach him. Just tell me where he is." The voice on the other end crackled with static and tension. "Sir Lieutenant Commander Patel signed out of the base 20 minutes ago. Said he was coordinating with NCIS field teams at the warehouse fire." Maya's blood went cold. "He's running. Admiral, we need to lock down the base. Now." "The base is already locked down." "With whose authority? Who gave the order?" Morrison's face went pale. "Patel did, right after Arnold was killed. He said it was standard protocol." "It wasn't protocol," Stone said. "It was cover. He locked down the base to delay our response while he made his escape." "Admiral, how many exit points does this base have?" 12 vehicle checkpoints, 3 pedestrian gates, and the marina. But every exit should be secured during lockdown. Unless the person who ordered the lockdown also ordered certain exits to remain unsecured for official use, Maya said bitterly. "He's already gone. Question is, where did he go?" Forrester stood abruptly. "His personnel file. It has his emergency contact information, family addresses, everything. It's in my office safe." They moved as a unit, Maya, Stone, Forrester, and a squad of Marines the Admiral personally trusted. Forrester's office was 3 buildings away, accessed through secured corridors that should have been impossible to breach without clearance. Should have been. The door to Forrester's office stood ajar. Inside filing cabinets had been ransacked, desk drawers pulled out, and emptied papers scattered everywhere. The safe hung open, its contents gone. "He was here," Forrester whispered. "While we were questioning me, he was destroying evidence." Maya moved through the office with tactical precision, checking corners, looking for anything Patel might have missed in his rush to disappear. Behind Forrester's desk, she found a framed photograph knocked to the floor. Forrester and Patel at some formal event, both in dress uniforms, smiling. She picked it up, studying Patel's face. Mid-30s fit unremarkable features. The kind of face that blended into crowds that people forgot 5 minutes after meeting. Perfect for intelligence work. Perfect for espionage. "Captain, when did Patel join your staff?" 18 months ago. He transferred from Naval Intelligence after a posting in Bahrain." "Bahrain," Stone repeated. "That's where the Navy lost track of 50 M4 rifles 2 years ago. Blamed it on administrative errors." Maya's mind raced, connecting dots. "This isn't just about San Diego. Patel's been running this operation across multiple installations for years. Arnold was just his West Coast contact. There are probably other security chiefs, other compromised personnel, all feeding weapons into the black market." "But why?" Forrester looked genuinely bewildered. "Patel came from money. His family owns commercial real estate. He doesn't need money." "It's never about need," Morrison said quietly. "It's about ideology or revenge, or sometimes just the thrill of getting away with it. But Maya's right, this is bigger than we thought. If Patel's been operating for years, if he has contacts across multiple bases, then we're looking at systematic, organized theft on a scale the Navy hasn't seen since World War II. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from Morrison, the NCIS agent, not the Admiral. Patel's emergency contact just went active. Burner phone bouncing off cell towers near the Mexican border. He's running for Tijuana. He'll disappear into Mexico, then God knows where, Stone said. Brazil, maybe. Russia, if he's got the right connections. We'll never find him. Yes, we will. Maya was already moving toward the door. How fast can you get a helicopter airborne? Admiral Morrison understood immediately. 10 minutes. But Maya, you can't just fly into Mexican airspace. That's an international incident waiting to happen. We don't have to cross the border. We just have to cut him off before he does. How far is the border from here? 15 miles by road. But with traffic emergency vehicles chaos from the lockdown, he'll need at least 20 minutes to reach it. Then we have a window. Sir, I need that helicopter and I need it now. You'll have it. Stone, assemble your team. Rules of engagement are capture if possible. But if Patel opens fire, you're authorized to return it. This bastard just killed 3 people on my base. I want him alive to face justice, but not at the cost of more American lives. They ran. The helicopter was a Navy MH-60S Seahawk, normally used for search and rescue, but equipped with enough tactical gear for combat operations. The pilot was a warrant officer named Chen, no relation to Sarah Chen, from SEAL Team 7, who took one look at Maya's face and didn't ask questions. Where to? Mexican border, fastest route possible. We're intercepting a fugitive in a vehicle somewhere on I-5 South. Chen whistled low. That's a lot of highway to cover. Then let's hope we get lucky. They didn't need luck. They had NCIS surveillance. Special Agent Morrison's voice crackled through Maya's headset. We've got him. Black Audi sedan license plate 7 Delta Romeo 492, currently passing mile marker 12 on I-5 South. He's 3 miles from the border and accelerating. Can you stop him? Maya asked. Border Patrol is setting up a checkpoint, but with diplomatic credentials and his clearance level, he might talk his way through. You need to take him before he reaches that checkpoint. Maya looked at Stone. Can we force him off the road from the air? Legally, no. Practically, yes, if we're willing to accept the consequences. I'll accept the consequences. Chen, take us down. Low and fast. I want to put this helicopter right in front of his vehicle. Chen grinned. Now you're speaking my language. The Seahawk dropped like a stone, the ground rushing up to meet them. Through the open door, Maya could see the black Audi racing down the highway at 90 miles an hour, weaving through traffic with reckless abandon. Patel was driving like a man with nothing to lose. He was about to lose everything. Chen brought the helicopter down to 50 feet, matching the Audi's speed, positioning the aircraft directly in front of the vehicle. The rotor wash kicked up dust and debris, obscuring Patel's windshield. The Audi swerved violently. He's going off-road, Stone shouted. The Audi left the highway, bouncing across the desert terrain toward a secondary road that paralleled the border. Patel was improvising now, looking for any route that would get him across the line. Stay on him, Maya ordered. Chen matched every move, the helicopter's shadow practically kissing the Audi's roof. But Patel wasn't stopping. He pushed the vehicle harder, engine screaming, dust plume rising behind him like a rooster tail. Then he made his mistake. Trying to avoid a cluster of rocks, Patel overcorrected. The Audi's rear wheels caught loose sand, and the vehicle went into a spin. It rotated twice before slamming sideways into an outcropping of stone. The airbags deployed. The engine died. Steam hissed from the crumpled hood. Set us down, Maya said. 50 meters out. Weapons ready. Chen landed the helicopter in a controlled descent. Before the skids touched ground, Maya was already moving Stone and Reeves right behind her. They approached the Audi in a tactical spread weapons, up every sense, screaming. The driver's door kicked open. Patel stumbled out, blood running from a cut on his forehead, one arm hanging at an awkward angle. But his good hand held a pistol, and it was pointed directly at Maya. Don't, Maya said. It's over. You're surrounded, you're injured, and backup is 3 minutes out. Put the gun down. Patel laughed, a sound empty of humor. Over, it's never over. You think I'm the only one. You think arresting me stops anything. Who else is involved? Stone demanded. Give us names, and maybe the prosecutor offers a deal. A deal. Patel spat blood. I don't need a deal. I have insurance. Insurance? Maya took a careful step closer. What kind of insurance? The kind that gets me released in 48 hours, or the kind that makes sure everyone I've worked with disappears? Your choice, Lieutenant Castellano. Arrest me and I walk. Kill me. And you never learn the truth about how deep this goes. Maya's finger rested on the trigger guard, not on the trigger itself. Every part of her wanted to put this bastard down. He'd facilitated the theft of hundreds of weapons. He'd orchestrated Arnold's murder and the death of 2 MPs. He'd betrayed his oath, his uniform, everything the Navy stood for. But he was also the only living link to the conspiracy. Lower your weapon, Maya said carefully. We can talk about this, but you need to lower your weapon first. Patel's gun hand wavered. For a moment, Maya thought he might actually surrender. Then his eyes shifted past her shoulder, widening with recognition, or fear, or both. No, he whispered. You're not supposed to. The shot came from behind Maya, a single crack that split the desert silence. Patel's head snapped back, and he dropped like a puppet with cut strings. Maya spun weapon up, searching for the shooter. Stone and Reeves were doing the same, scanning the horizon for any sign of a sniper position. Where did that come from? Stone shouted. North Ridge, maybe 400 meters. Reeves pointed toward a cluster of rocks overlooking their position. I saw a muzzle flash. They ran for cover, but whoever had taken the shot was already gone. By the time they reached the ridge, they found only spent brass, a single .308 casing from a precision rifle, and tire tracks leading back toward the highway. Maya stood over the casing, feeling defeat wash over her. First Arnold, now Patel. Every lead, every witness, every piece of evidence systematically eliminated by someone who stayed 3 steps ahead of them. Professional hit, Reeves said, examining the brass. Long-range precision shot, immediate extraction. This was planned. Planned how? Maya demanded. We didn't even know we'd be chasing Patel until 30 minutes ago. How did someone have a sniper in position? Stone's face was grim. They didn't. They had a sniper following Patel, waiting for an opportunity. They knew he'd run, knew we'd chase him, knew we'd corner him, and they knew he'd talk if we captured him. So they eliminated him before he could. Which means someone inside our operation is feeding information to the conspiracy, Maya said. Someone who knew about this chase in real time, and they looked at each other, the implications hanging heavy in the air. The conspiracy wasn't just wide, it was deep. Deep enough that someone in law enforcement or military command was actively protecting the trafficking ring. Back at base, Admiral Morrison convened an emergency briefing in a secure conference room. Only 6 people attended: Morrison, Maya, Stone, Reeves, Special Agent Morrison, and the base's senior JAG officer, Commander Lisa Brennan. We have a mole, Admiral Morrison said without preamble. Someone with access to operational communications killed Patel before he could be interrogated. That same person probably orchestrated Arnold's murder, and that person is still out there, still reporting to whoever's running this trafficking operation. How do we find them? Agent Morrison asked. We feed them bad information, Maya said. We let it slip that we've got a witness, someone who can testify about the whole operation. Then we watch to see who moves against that witness. You're talking about using bait, Commander Brennan said. That's legally and ethically problematic. So is letting a weapons trafficking conspiracy continue because we're worried about legal technicalities, Maya shot back. We've lost 2 witnesses, and God knows how many weapons are already in hostile hands. We need to force the conspirators to make a move. Maya's right, Stone said. But we can't use a real witness. We need a fabricated one. Someone convincing enough that the conspirators believe they're a threat. Admiral Morrison looked at Maya. You're suggesting we use you? I'm suggesting we let it leak that Derek Rawlings decided to cooperate, that he's providing testimony about his uncle's operation and everyone involved. The conspirators will have to move against him to keep him quiet. Derek's in the brig facing assault charges, Agent Morrison pointed out. He's under guard, but the conspirators don't know how well he's guarded. We make it look like he's in general population vulnerable to attack. Then we wait for them to send someone after him. And when they do, Brennan asked. Maya's smile was cold. Then we catch them in the act and make them tell us everything. It took 8 hours to set the trap. Derek Rawlings was moved to a minimum security holding cell isolated from other prisoners, but with enough exposure that rumors could spread. Stone's team leaked information through carefully selected channels, junior officers known for gossip, enlisted personnel with loose lips, even a bribed civilian contractor who worked in the detention facility. The story was simple. Derek was cooperating, giving names, providing details about the trafficking ring in exchange for a reduced sentence. He knew everything his uncle had told him. He was the prosecution's star witness. It was all lies, but the conspirators didn't know that. Maya spent those 8 hours preparing. She reviewed the detention facility's layout, identified choke points and sight lines, positioned Stone's team in concealed observation posts. If someone came for Derek, they'd be walking into a kill box. At 0200 hours, someone came. The motion sensors triggered first someone approaching the detention facility from the north perimeter, using the blind spot where the security cameras had been accidentally disabled. Maya watched on thermal imaging as a single figure scaled the fence with professional efficiency, landed softly, and moved toward Derek's cell. "We've got one hostile," Maya whispered into her comms. "Solo operator moving with tactical training. Stone, you see them? Affirmative. 30 meters from the cell, approaching from the west corridor. Let them get inside. I want them committed before we close the trap." The figure reached Derek's cell, produced a lock-picking set, and had the door open in under 15 seconds. They moved inside, and Maya heard Derek's voice through the surveillance microphones, confused and frightened. "Who are you? What do you want?" No response, just the sound of a suppressed pistol being drawn. "Now," Maya ordered. Lights flooded the corridor. Stone's team moved in from 3 directions, weapons trained on the intruder. Maya came through the main entrance, her Sig Sauer up and steady. "Drop the weapon, Federal agents!" The figure froze, caught in the lights like a deer on a highway. Slowly, they raised their hands, the pistol dangling from one finger. "Drop it," Maya repeated. The pistol clattered to the floor. The figure turned, hands still raised, face partially obscured by a balaclava. Maya stepped closer. Weapon never wavering. "On your knees, hands behind your head, now." The figure complied. Reeves moved in and pulled off the balaclava. Maya felt the floor drop out from under her. It was Private First Class David Ortiz, the young Marine who'd apologized for Derek's behavior, the one who'd offered to document everything to testify against harassment, the one Maya had trusted. "David." Maya's voice came out as barely a whisper. Ortiz looked up at her, and there was no fear in his eyes. No shame, just cold calculation. "You were good," he said quietly. "Better than the others they sent to investigate, but not good enough." "How long?" Maya demanded. "How long have you been feeding them information?" "Since before you arrived. They recruited me 18 months ago, promised to pay off my student loans, give me a real future after the corps. All I had to do was watch, listen, and report. Easy money." Stone pulled Ortiz to his feet roughly. "Who's they? Who are you working for?" Ortiz smiled. "You'll never find out, because I'm the last one. You got Arnold, you got Patel, you got me. The trail ends here." "I don't believe that," Maya said. "There's someone higher, someone giving the orders." "Believe what you want. I'm taking the fifth, calling my lawyer, and you'll never get another word out of me." Maya stepped closer, getting right in his face. "You killed Arnold Rawlings. You killed 2 MPs. Those men had families, David. People who loved them." "Casualties of war," Ortiz said flatly. "You, of all people, should understand that, Lieutenant. How many people have you killed in the line of duty? At least I got paid for mine." Maya's hand tightened on her weapon, and for one dangerous second she considered pulling the trigger. But she didn't, because she was better than him. Better than all of them. "Take him away," she said to Stone. "Maximum security, 24-hour surveillance, and for God's sake, don't let him near anything he can use to communicate with the outside world." As the MPs led Ortiz away, Maya stood alone in the corridor, feeling the weight of betrayal settle on her shoulders. She'd trusted him. She'd believed his story about wanting to do the right thing. And all along, he'd been reporting her every move to the people trying to kill her. Commander Stone approached quietly. "You couldn't have known." "I should have known. I'm trained to spot deception. That's literally my job." "He was good, Maya. Professional enough to fool all of us. But he's not talking. And without his testimony, we're no closer to finding who's really running this operation." Stone was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that made Maya's blood run cold. "Unless Ortiz isn't the last one. Unless there's another mole, someone we haven't identified yet. Someone close enough to this investigation to know we were setting a trap for them tonight." Maya met her eyes. "You think someone warned Ortiz?" "I think Ortiz walked into our trap because he thought he could get away with it. But I also think someone's still out there, still watching, still reporting. And Maya, they know everything about you now. Your tactics, your methods, your team. They know how you think." "Then we change tactics," Maya said. "No more by-the-book investigations. No more official channels. We go dark off the grid, and we hunt them the way SEALs hunt targets in hostile territory. That's against regulations. So is trafficking weapons and murdering federal prisoners." Maya's voice was hard as steel. "I'm done playing by rules that only handicap us while they do whatever they want. Someone powerful is behind this. Someone who thinks they're untouchable. Time to prove them wrong." Stone studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "What do you need?" "Access to classified personnel files for every officer with clearance high enough to have known about this operation. Every captain, every commander, every admiral who could have authorized Patel's activities or covered for Arnold's theft. And I need complete discretion. Nobody knows what we're looking for until we find it." "That's a big ask." "It's the only way. The mole is someone we trust, someone in a position of authority. And they're going to make a mistake. Everyone does eventually." What Maya didn't say out loud was that she had less than 24 hours to find them. Because someone out there had just lost their attack dog, and desperate people made desperate moves. The countdown to the final confrontation had begun. The answer came at 03:47 hours, buried in a personnel file Maya had read 3 times without seeing what was right in front of her. Commander Lisa Brennan, the base JAG officer. The woman who'd sat in every briefing, heard every detail of their investigation, offered legal counsel at every turn. The woman who'd been in Admiral Morrison's secure conference room just hours ago when they'd planned the trap for Ortiz. Maya stared at the file on her laptop, feeling sick. Brennan had transferred to San Diego 14 months ago from Naval Station Norfolk, the same installation where 600 rifles had gone missing 3 years prior, blamed on inventory errors that were never fully investigated. Before Norfolk, she'd been stationed in Bahrain. The same posting as Patel. "Stone." Maya's voice cut through the quiet of the conference room where they'd been working all night. "Look at this." Stone crossed the room, reading over Maya's shoulder. Her expression darkened with each line. Brennan and Patel overlapped in Bahrain for 8 months. Then she transfers to Norfolk right before weapons start disappearing. Then here right before Arnold's operation accelerates. She's been the legal cover, Maya said. Making sure investigations' dead-end evidence gets mishandled, complaints get buried in bureaucratic red tape. She's the reason nothing ever stuck to these operations. We need to bring this to Admiral Morrison immediately. No. Maya closed the laptop. If we go through official channels, Brennan will know within minutes. She'll destroy evidence, warn her contacts disappear like Patel tried to. We need to confront her directly, catch her off guard. That's dangerous, Maya. If she's been running this operation, then she's also running scared. Ortiz is in custody. Her entire network is collapsing. People like Brennan don't have contingency plans for total exposure, they have escape plans. And we need to hit her before she executes hers. Reeves looked up from his own laptop. Brennan logged into the detention facility security system 40 minutes ago. She accessed Ortiz's cell block monitoring. Maya's blood ran cold. She's planning to kill him. Another loose end eliminated. Or she's checking to make sure he's still there before she makes her own run for it, Stone said. Either way, we move now. They found Commander Brennan in her office packing files into a briefcase with methodical efficiency. She looked up when Maya kicked the door open, and for just a second, Maya saw fear flash across her face before it hardened into cold calculation. Lieutenant Castellano, to what do I owe this late-night visit? You tell me, Commander. Maya stepped inside Stone and Reeves flanking her. Or should I start by asking about your time in Bahrain with Lieutenant Commander Patel? Brennan's hand froze over the briefcase. I've served at many installations during my career. Bahrain was one of them. Funny how weapons start disappearing everywhere you've been stationed. Norfolk, Bahrain, now San Diego. That's one hell of a coincidence. Coincidences happen in a military as large as the Navy. Brennan closed her briefcase with a sharp click. But I'm afraid I don't have time for conspiracy theories. I have an early meeting in D.C. and need to catch a flight. At 4 a.m, Stone said. That's interesting timing, Commander, especially considering Ortiz was just arrested and you're suddenly leaving town. Brennan's composure cracked just slightly. I don't know what you think you've discovered, but making accusations against a senior officer without evidence is career suicide, Lieutenant. I have evidence. Maya pulled out a flash drive. Financial records linking you to shell companies that received payments from Arnold Rawlings' operation. Communication logs showing encrypted messages between your personal phone and burner numbers registered to Patel. And most damning video footage from Norfolk showing you meeting with a man we've now identified as a weapons trafficker tied to Middle Eastern terrorist organizations. The color drained from Brennan's face. That's classified intelligence. You're not authorized. I'm authorized to investigate treason, Commander, and that's what this is. You've been selling U.S. military weapons to enemies of the state for years. You've facilitated theft, murder, and conspiracy. And you've done it all while wearing the uniform and pretending to uphold the law you've been systematically violating. Brennan's hand moved toward her desk drawer. Stone's weapon came up instantly. Don't, Stone said quietly. Whatever's in that drawer, it's not worth dying for. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Brennan's hand retreated, and she sat down heavily in her chair. You don't understand, she said, her voice hollow. You can't understand. Then explain it to me, Maya said. Explain why someone with your education, your position, your oath, explain why you'd betray everything you're supposed to stand for. Brennan laughed, a sound devoid of humor. Stand for, I stood for this country for 18 years. I deployed to war zones, prosecuted criminals, upheld justice. And what did I get? Passed over for promotion 3 times because I'm a woman. Watched men with half my qualifications advance while I stayed stuck at commander. The Navy talks about equality, but it's a lie. It's always been a lie. So you decided to sell weapons to terrorists, Reeves said incredulously. That's your response to career disappointment. It started small. Just information, deployment schedules, personnel movements. Things that seemed harmless. They paid well better than my Navy salary. Then it evolved into logistics support. Then into actual procurement. By the time I realized how deep I was, there was no way out. There's always a way out, Maya said. You could have come forward, turned state's evidence. Instead, you murdered people to cover your tracks. I never killed anyone, Brennan said quickly. I never pulled a trigger. That was Patel, that was Ortiz, that was others in the network. You gave the orders. You're just as guilty. Stone moved closer. How many people are in this network? How high does it go? Brennan met her eyes. You really want to know? It goes all the way to the Pentagon. Flag officers, defense contractors, politicians. This operation is protected at the highest levels. You think arresting me changes anything? I'm expendable. They'll sacrifice me, and the network will continue. Names, Maya demanded. Give me names. And then what? You arrest them too. The system protects itself, Lieutenant. You're a SEAL, you should understand that better than anyone. The military takes care of its own, even the corrupt ones. Especially the corrupt ones, because they know where all the bodies are buried. Maya felt rage building in her chest. You're a coward. You betrayed your oath, your country, your fellow service members, and now you're hiding behind cynicism like it absolves you of responsibility. I'm a realist. You're an idealist. That's the difference between us. Brennan stood slowly. And now I'm invoking my right to legal counsel. I won't be saying anything else without my lawyer present. Your lawyer, Stone said. You are a lawyer commander. Then I'll represent myself. Either way, this conversation is over. Brennan picked up her briefcase. Am I under arrest? Maya wanted to say yes. Wanted to slap handcuffs on this woman and drag her to a cell. But without Admiral Morrison's authorization, without following proper procedure, any arrest Maya made could be challenged in court. Brennan knew it too. She was already calculating her legal defenses, looking for procedural errors she could exploit. You're not leaving this base, Maya said. Admiral Morrison will decide your fate. But Commander, understand this, you're done. Your career is over. Your freedom is over. And everyone you protected is going to fall with you. We'll see about that. Brennan moved toward the door. Stone stepped in front of her. The briefcase, Commander. Leave it here. This contains privileged legal documents. Attorney work product. You can't... Stone grabbed the briefcase and opened it. Inside were passports, 3 of them all with Brennan's photo, but different names. Also cash, a lot of it. And a burner phone. Planning a trip, Reeves said. Brennan's professional mask finally shattered. She lunged for the briefcase, but Stone was faster, tossing it to Maya. Brennan spun toward the window, and Maya realized with horror what she was about to do. Stop her! But Brennan had already pulled a pistol from her ankle holster, a backup weapon nobody had thought to check for. She didn't point it at them. She pointed it at herself. You want names? Brennan said, her voice shaking. You'll never get them. I'm the only one who knows the full network, and I'm taking that information to my grave. Don't do this, Maya said, lowering her own weapon. Lisa, please. You can still make this right. You can still choose to do the right thing. The right thing? Brennan's laugh was brittle. I stopped knowing what that was years ago. But I know this, I'm not spending the rest of my life in prison. I'm not giving you the satisfaction of parading me through a court-martial. And I'm sure as hell not betraying people who'll kill my family if I talk. Your family, Stone said carefully. They threatened your family. Brennan's hand trembled. My sister. My niece. They have photos of them, know where they live, know their routines. If I cooperate, if I testify, they die. So what's my choice? Life in prison with my family dead, or end it now and hope they leave my family alone? Maya's mind raced. We can protect them. Witness protection, federal marshals, whatever it takes. But you have to give us the names. You have to help us end this. You can't protect them from people this powerful. You don't understand. I understand that you're scared, Maya said, taking a slow step forward. I understand that you made mistakes, that you got in too deep, that you feel trapped. But Lisa, listen to me. Killing yourself doesn't save your family. It just means the people running this operation get away with everything. Is that really what you want? Brennan's gun hand wavered. Tears streamed down her face. I don't want any of this. I never wanted any of this. Then help us stop it. Give us the names. Let us bring them to justice. Be the JAG officer you were supposed to be. Uphold the law, even if it's the hardest thing you've ever done. For a moment, Maya thought she'd gotten through. Brennan's gun lowered slightly, and something like hope flickered in her eyes. Then her phone buzzed. Brennan glanced at the screen, and whatever she saw there made her face go white. They know. They know you're here. They know what I'm about to do. The window exploded inward. Maya hit the ground as glass rained down. The same sound she'd heard in the desert when Patel died, a precision rifle shot from distance. Brennan's body jerked backward, a red stain blooming across her chest. She collapsed, the gun falling from her hand. Stone and Reeves returned fire through the broken window, but the sniper was already gone. Maya crawled to Brennan, pressing her hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Lisa, stay with me. Stay with me. Brennan's eyes found Maya's. Blood bubbled at her lips. Admiral. Peterson. Pentagon. He's the one. Who's Admiral Peterson? Lisa, stay awake. Tell me about Peterson. But Brennan's eyes were already glazing over. My sister. Tell her. I'm sorry. She died in Maya's arms. Her final words, a confession, and an apology rolled into one. Stone was on the radio calling for medical and security, but Maya knew it was too late. The sniper had accomplished their mission, another witness dead, another loose end eliminated. But this time they'd left Maya with a name. Admiral Peterson. 48 hours later, Maya stood in a Pentagon conference room facing a man she'd never met, but whose reputation preceded him, Admiral Theodore Peterson, Deputy Chief of Naval Operations. He was 62, silver-haired, decorated with enough ribbons to cover his entire chest. He looked like someone's grandfather. He looked like a man who'd devoted his life to serving his country. He was also, according to Brennan's dying words, and the evidence, Maya had spent 2 days uncovering the mastermind behind the weapons trafficking operation. Lieutenant Castellano, Peterson said pleasantly, I've heard impressive things about your investigation. You've done excellent work rooting out corruption in San Diego. Thank you, sir. Maya kept her voice neutral, professional. Around the table sat Admiral Morrison, Special Agent Morrison, Commander Stone, and 3 Navy lawyers. This wasn't an interrogation, not officially. This was a voluntary meeting to discuss the investigation's findings. But everyone in the room knew what it really was. I understand Commander Brennan made some serious allegations before her death, Peterson continued. Allegations that unfortunately can't be verified since she's not here to substantiate them. Commander Brennan named you as the head of the trafficking network, sir, Maya said bluntly, and subsequent investigation has corroborated her claims. Financial records show shell companies receiving payments from weapons sales companies that trace back to accounts you control. Communication intercepts show encrypted messages between your office and known traffickers. And testimony from Ortiz, who decided cooperation was preferable to execution, confirms you gave orders through Brennan and Patel. Peterson's pleasant expression never wavered. Circumstantial evidence at best, easily explained by the nature of my position. As Deputy CNO, I oversee weapons procurement, international sales, strategic partnerships. Of course, my office has connections to defense contractors and international entities. That's my job. Your job isn't selling stolen U.S. weapons to terrorist organizations, Stone said coldly. Your job isn't ordering the execution of witnesses. Your job isn't running a criminal conspiracy that's cost lives and compromised national security. Prove it, Peterson said simply. Prove any of that in a court of law. Brennan's dead testimony is hearsay. Ortiz is a confessed murderer with every reason to lie for a reduced sentence. Financial records can be explained. Communications can be justified. Lieutenant, you're a SEAL. You understand operational security, compartmentalization, plausible deniability. I've been in the Navy for 40 years. I know how to protect myself. Maya felt her hands clench under the table. He was right. Every piece of evidence they had was circumstantial. Good enough to establish suspicion, not good enough to convict a flag officer with resources and connections that dwarfed anything Maya had access to. But here's what I'm willing to do, Peterson continued. In the interest of institutional integrity, and to avoid further scandal, I'll accept early retirement, effective immediately, full pension, honorable discharge, all the ceremony that comes with decades of distinguished service. I'll fade away quietly, and this investigation can conclude with the arrests you've already made. Everyone wins. Everyone wins. Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. Except the MPs you had killed. Except Arnold Rawlings and Lisa Brennan and James Patel. Except every service member who trusted you to protect them while you were selling weapons that might someday be used against them. Casualties of war, Lieutenant. Sometimes the mission requires difficult choices. This wasn't war. This was greed. Peterson's mask finally slipped, just for a second. Maya saw the predator beneath the grandfather facade. This was survival. The Navy doesn't pay admirals what we're worth. Defense contractors, foreign governments, private military companies, they all understand the value of access of information of equipment that somehow goes missing from inventory logs. I provided a service. I got compensated. And I did it so skillfully that you'll never prove it in court. Then why agree to retire? Stone asked. If you're so confident, because dragging this through a court-martial serves nobody's interests. The Navy doesn't want the embarrassment. I don't want the hassle. And Lieutenant Castellano doesn't want to spend the next 5 years of her life testifying in legal proceedings that will ultimately end in my acquittal. Peterson leaned forward. Take the win, Lieutenant. You've dismantled a trafficking ring, arrested corrupt personnel, recovered stolen weapons. You've done your job. Let me fade away and we can all move on with our lives. Maya looked at Admiral Morrison silently, begging him to intervene. But Morrison's expression was conflicted. He knew as well as she did that Peterson was probably right. A court-martial would be long, expensive, and unlikely to result in conviction. I need to confer with my team, Maya said. Peterson nodded graciously. Take all the time you need. In the hallway outside the conference room, Maya leaned against the wall and tried not to scream. He's going to walk, she said. We know he's guilty, he knows he's guilty, and he's going to walk away with full pension and honors. Unless we find something that definitively ties him to the operation, Agent Morrison said. Something that can't be explained away. We've been looking for 2 days. There's nothing. He's too careful, too experienced, too protected by the system. Stone put a hand on Maya's shoulder. Sometimes the bad guys win, Maya. It sucks, but it's reality. I didn't become a SEAL to let bad guys win, Maya said fiercely. I became a SEAL to protect people, to serve something bigger than myself, to make sure people like Peterson don't get away with betraying everything we stand for. Then what do you suggest? Morrison asked. Because legally we're out of options. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. Private Ortiz, it's Lieutenant Castellano. I need you to tell me everything you know about Admiral Peterson's personal security protocols. Everything." 2 hours later, Maya stood outside Peterson's Pentagon office. It was late after 2100 hours. Most of the building was empty. Peterson's security detail had been given the night off, something he did regularly on evenings when he worked late. Operational security, he called it. Time to review classified materials without prying eyes. Maya had different theories about why a conspirator might want privacy. She knocked. Peterson's voice called out, "Come in." He looked up from his desk, and genuine surprise crossed his face when he saw Maya. "Lieutenant Castellano, this is unexpected." "I wanted to talk to you alone, sir. Off the record." Peterson gestured to a chair. "Please sit, though I should warn you that anything you say to me could be reported to your chain of command." "I'm aware, sir." Maya didn't sit. "I wanted you to know that I understand why you did it. The trafficking, I mean." Peterson's eyes narrowed. "Is that so? You spent 40 years serving your country, sacrificing time with your family, missing birthdays and anniversaries, putting your life on the line. And for what? A salary that's less than what a mid-level tech worker makes. The Navy uses people like you up and spits them out. I get why you'd want to take something back." "An interesting perspective, Lieutenant. But here's what I don't get." Maya's voice hardened. "You could have left. Retired honorably 5 years ago, become a defense contractor, legitimately made millions without betraying your oath. So why didn't you? Why risk everything?" Peterson studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled, and it was the coldest thing Maya had ever seen. "Because I could. Because I was smarter than everyone around me, and I enjoyed proving it. Because watching people scramble to investigate crimes I orchestrated right under their noses was thrilling in a way combat never was." He leaned back in his chair. "And because the system deserves to be exploited. It's broken, corrupt, hypocritical. I just took advantage of what was already there." "So it was never about money." "Money was a bonus, power was the point." Peterson's mask was completely gone now, replaced by something genuinely chilling. "You know the best part, Lieutenant? Even knowing all this, even hearing me confess it to your face, you still can't touch me. Because this conversation never happened. There's no recording, no witnesses, nothing that would hold up in court. You walked into my office voluntarily, we had a private discussion, and now you'll walk out with the same circumstantial evidence you came in with." Maya reached into her jacket and pulled out her phone. On the screen, a red recording light blinked steadily. Peterson's face went white. "That's illegal. Recordings made without consent are inadmissible." "In civilian court, yes. But this is a military matter, sir. And under Article 31 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, I was under no obligation to inform you that our conversation was being recorded, especially since you're not currently under interrogation, and this was, as you said, just a private discussion." Peterson lunged for the phone, but Maya was faster. She was always faster. In 2 seconds, she had him pinned against his desk, one arm twisted behind his back, her knee in his spine. "Admiral Theodore Peterson, you're under arrest for conspiracy, treason, murder, and theft of military property. You have the right to remain silent, though I suspect you'll have a lot to say once Navy CID gets done with you." Military police flooded into the office. Admiral Morrison had been waiting in the hallway with a full security team. Peterson was handcuffed, read his rights, and led away, still protesting that the recording was illegal, that Maya had entrapped him, that his lawyers would have the whole case dismissed. But Maya knew better. She'd gotten what she needed, a confession from the man himself in his own words, admitting to crimes he thought he'd gotten away with. Sometimes the bad guys did win, but not today. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of a classroom full of new SEAL candidates at Naval Special Warfare Command in Coronado. She'd been asked to teach a course on ethics and integrity in special operations, not her first choice for an assignment, but after everything that had happened, it felt right. My name is Lieutenant Maya Castellano, she began, and I'm going to tell you a story about what happens when people in power forget that the uniform they wear represents something bigger than themselves. She told them about Arnold Rawlings, about Derek and his crew, about Brennan and Patel and Ortiz. She told them about Admiral Peterson, who was now serving 30 years at Fort Leavenworth. She told them about the weapons that had been recovered, the trafficking networks that had been dismantled, the reforms that had been implemented across every Navy installation. But most importantly, she told them about the cost. 3 people died during this investigation. 2 MPs who were just doing their jobs. 1 commander who made terrible choices but tried to make things right at the end. Dozens of families were torn apart. Trust in the system was shattered. And all because people at every level decided that personal gain was more important than honor, discipline, and service. The candidates listened, some of them uncomfortable, others engaged. This wasn't the heroic war story they'd expected. This was messy, complicated, real. You're all here because you want to be the best, Maya continued. You want to push yourselves beyond normal human limits to serve at the highest levels of special operations. But here's what they don't always tell you in recruiting videos: being a SEAL isn't just about physical capability. It's about moral courage. It's about doing the right thing even when the right thing costs you everything. She thought about her own journey. About the threats she'd endured, the danger she'd faced, the times she could have walked away and saved herself a lot of pain. But she hadn't, because that wasn't what SEALs did. So as you go through training, as you face Hell Week and diving and land warfare and all the other things designed to break you, remember why you're here. Remember that someday you might be the only thing standing between innocent people and those who want to harm them. Remember that your oath means something, your uniform means something, your integrity means everything. After class, Commander Stone found her in the hallway. That was a good brief. The candidates needed to hear it. Think it'll stick. For most of them, maybe. For all of them, no. There will always be people who put themselves first. But if we can save even one person from making Peterson's choices, it's worth it. Maya nodded. Any word on Derek Rawlings? 7 years at Leavenworth. He'll be out in 5 with good behavior. His lawyer tried for a reduced sentence based on his cooperation, but the judge wasn't having it. And Vincent Chen? Dishonorable discharges, shorter sentences since they weren't directly involved in the murders. They'll spend the rest of their lives trying to explain why they threw away their military careers to harass a fitness consultant who turned out to be a Navy SEAL. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Karma's a bitch. Speaking of which, Private Ortiz has cut a deal, 20 years eligible for parole in 12. He's been providing names of everyone in the trafficking network he knew about. Turns out Peterson had operations on 11 different installations, not just the West Coast. Ortiz's testimony is helping shut them all down. Good. Maybe he'll actually learn something in prison. Stone was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Admiral Morrison asked me to pass along a message. There's an opening on my team permanent assignment to SEAL Team 7. If you're interested. Maya felt somethings in her chest unclench. After everything that had happened, she'd wondered if the Navy would want to keep her around. Wondered if being the person who'd arrested an admiral made her too controversial, too difficult, too much of a liability. But this was the opposite of being pushed out. This was being welcomed home. When do I start? Tomorrow if you want. We've got a training rotation starting next week. Then we're wheels up for a deployment in February. Nothing fancy, just standard counterterrorism operations in East Africa. Standard counterterrorism operations, Maya repeated. After the last few months, that sounds perfect. They walked outside together into the California sunshine. Across the training compound, new candidates were running obstacle courses, swimming in the ocean, pushing themselves to their absolute limits in pursuit of the trident. Maya had earned her trident years ago, But in a way, the last 6 months had been another kind of qualification. Not a test of physical endurance, but a test of moral courage. Not a challenge of strength, but a challenge of integrity. She'd passed. And more importantly, she'd made sure that people like Admiral Peterson learned a lesson they'd never forget. The uniform you wear represents something sacred, and when you betray that trust, someone like Maya Castellano will be there to make sure you pay for it. The wrong woman. They'd picked the wrong woman to threaten, to intimidate, to underestimate. And in the end, that mistake had cost them everything.